So David Montgomery got traded, I believe, for a fourth. I think they might have swapped 7 for a fourth or 7th, and a backup lineman, Drew Scroggins. He was a second round pick out of Penn State. He played center. He started the 2024 season. But the other 2 seasons he been in the league as rookie, and this season I think he might have had like 1 start. So they got him listed as a center. I mean, obviously they get really good backup depth. I seen pretty much most of the reaction to this trade is emotional. But I think David Montgomery is playing a role here, and I'm gonna explain it real quick, right? So apparently it came out Montgomery wanted to trade. He came out and was like, well, I didn't ask for a trade. Maybe he trying to be technical and say his agent asked for one, right? Apparently he got traded to Houston. That wasn't a coincidence, or Houston per se didn't per se had a better deal. Apparently Houston, that was his preferred destination. The Lions traded him where he wanted to go. And right then and there, that makes you believe, allegedly, that he wanted to be out of Detroit, right? And rightfully so, to be honest with you. He was 28, 29. Chicago, he had a big year. And then, they tried to make it the Mitchell Trubisky show. I think Mitchell Trubisky's most successful season was with David Montgomery, with the offense on David Montgomery's shoulder, and they gave him a lot of passing windows. Then they wanted to transition over to Trubisky being the guy. That didn't work. They got rid of David Montgomery. He got to Detroit. I don't think they was planning on drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. They got him. And, pretty much when Ben Johnson left, a piece of David Montgomery left with him. Because Ben Johnson was the only play caller in the NFL last year to have 2 running backs, I think, over 750 yards. So the rookie, I forget his name, and, DeAndre Swift, they had a great rapport. He understands how to integrate 2 backs. Dan Campbell didn't know how to do it. John Morton did it better than Dan Campbell. And it was just so blatantly disrespectful when you see Jahmyr Gibbs get stopped 3rd and short, 4th and short, and you got David Montgomery on your team. So when the head coach ain't implementing you in the play calling, you see he get jiggy with Jameson Williams, and then he constantly in situations that's for you, giving the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs, and he losing and coming up short. It ain't too much we need to say about it no more. We don't need to have a conversation about what's going on like Marvin Gaye. I want out. When Ben Johnson left, I left. So Ben was doing a great job of implementing them too. And it's just not as easy as people think it is. How Ben Johnson made it look, it's not as easy as it is because nobody else did it in the league. He understands, how to keep the running backs fresh, how to utilize them, and not to the point where I'm just calling off tackle for Swift and the other guy I'm calling inside. He knew how to keep defenses on their toes. And for the most part, how they think about it is this. Let me say this, and going back to Trubisky point I made and Montgomery getting caught up in 2 storms like that, from the quarterback perspective, they like, we giving this quarterback all this money. We playing this running back this little bit of money. He's the star. We giving him all the money. We need to be running him. That's like having 2 machines at your job, and one machine they paying $1 million for, the other machine they paying, $500,000 for, but the $500,000 machine is putting in more work. It's putting in way more work, but the $1 million machine, even though it's not putting as much work, it's putting in critical work. That machine might pump out, let's say 10,000 parts a week. This machine pump out 3,000 parts a week. But those 3,000 in parts, because of the value of the quarterback, they're 100,000 a piece, and those 10,000 is 1,000 a piece. Which one is more valuable? They're just looking at the numbers on a superficial level. And that's how they did Dak in Dallas. Oh, you want to, we got CD Lamb and all this. You don't need a running game. And Dak was struggling without a running game like any other quarterback. We one-dimensional. You get him a running back in Javonte Williams, guess what? Oh, shit, Dak looked like an MVP candidate. Ain't no secret. I don't know why they trying to devalue the running back position. You get to Detroit, a little bit different. We got Jahmyr Gibbs now. And Gibbs at the end of the season was doing great when Montgomery was hurt, when they lost to the Commanders. This year, we give a bunch of, and guess what? People wonder why Gibbs didn't get Offensive Player of the Year or get All-Pro. At the end of the year, they fell off. At the end of the year, he got tired. The offensive line was in shambles. So, therefore, you've seen a lot of more negative plays, or you didn't see those big explosive plays. Montgomery kept him fresh. They kept each other fresh. They put years on each other's career. That's what y'all don't understand. Just because if you take Montgomery carries and give it to Jahmyr Gibbs, it don't mean he gonna have 3,000 yards rushing. There's attrition. There's conditioning. There's stamina. There's durability issues. They kept each other fresh. Think of DeAndre Swift. He had a lot of knick-knack injuries in Detroit. You go to Chicago, and him and that rookie, they keep each other fresh. In your mind, you be like, oh, if all them touches go to this guy, he averaging 5 yards a pop. But it's attrition. It's constantly being beat up. It's your conditioning. It's getting, hits on you blocking, you getting hit. You catching, you getting hit. All them, they kept each other fresh. And they think they about to pay Jahmyr Gibbs, and they about to feature him in the backfield. And we already know how this is going to happen. We seen Amara get paid. He got hurt. We seen Penei Sewell get paid. He got hurt. He played through it. We seen Kirby Joseph get paid. He got hurt. I mean, we could just go on and on how many of the guys they prematurely paid and they got hurt. Levi Onwuzurike, even though it was a cheap deal, he got hurt. So once you think about it, it's just to the point where it's like, implement both of them. Jahmyr Gibbs is not the back you want to be 50 touches, 30 touches a game. He ain't Adrian Peterson. He ain't Emmitt Smith. Give him somebody that can soften the defense in, and you sprinkle him in there. And then at the end of the season, when y'all making a playoff run, then you flood with them. They don't understand that. They gonna run this kid into the ground. That's why Javid Best didn't fucking last. That's why he didn't last. Barry Sanders is an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? Emmitt Smith is an anomaly. Adrian Peterson is built like a fucking Mack truck. And he had his injuries. Throughout college, he had a major injury. In the pros, he had a major injury. You know what I'm saying? So you start talking about the durability, but like I said before, it's no different when you look at it. What happened to Dave Montgomery in Chicago, and then you see what happened with Gibbs. Now we paying Gibbs this money. Why he need help? They look at stuff from a financial standpoint of view. They don't look at stuff from a what work or the future standpoint of view. Oh, what do we got to pay him? And we could just give it. And guess what? The minute they pay him, he gonna get hurt. Or he gonna forget how to play fucking football. I'm telling y'all. And I see people get mad talking about the trade wasn't a good trade. I mean, what y'all expect? That was a great trade. You got a 4th round pick. You got depth in the offensive line. So now you got a guy that can play center. You probably saying Bada Glasgow. You probably still moving Tate to center. So you got a guy that plays center who's a 2nd round pick a few years ago, right? Then you turn around. You said we got that 2nd round pick a few years ago. We still got Manu Giovanni who could play some tackle, play some guard. You got Miles Frazier who could play some center, play some guard. You got Mahogany that's gonna play guard. So you got 2 capable backups in Miles Frazier and that Scroggins kid who can step in, play center, and play both guard spots. You got Giovanni Manu, whatever his name is, who can play left tackle, who can play right tackle, who can play both guards. So you got a lot of depth in the offensive line. You got some versatility there. You still probably need to draft a left tackle, because Decker not going to stay healthy. You find a left tackle, come in, let him play left guard. If you're going to keep Tate at center, keep him at center, move Mahogany to right guard. You got, Decker and Penei Sewell, and you got the new rookie who's going to just play him at left guard and then get ready to kick him at left tackle. You got a lot of depth. A lot of versatility. You gonna have a rookie who can play left tackle, right tackle, play the guard position. You got Frazier, who's played all across the offensive line in college, but center and guard. You got Manu Giovanni, who could play left tackle, right tackle, guard. You got Tate Ratledge, who could play guard, center. You got Scroggins that can play center, guard. So you got a lot of depth and versatility around there. And a 4th round pick, that's good. They were saying the 5th round, so you got a 4th and a 7th. I mean, I think they did pretty good. I think it was a good trade. I don't know how much more people want it. I know people have a vendetta against Brad. oh, bro, I mean, but look at all the players that he drafted that's good. Most of the guys that failed that wasn't good was just due to talent, due to injuries. Most of these guys that he's drafted have been for tremendous. I mean, he went on a run. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, 4. And I remember the average NFL career is 2.5 years. So he went on a hellified run, and then you continue to say, damn, he did go on a hellified run. You know, F.A. Melifano, if he stayed healthy, he was a big time player for us. You know, Aiden Hutchinson. So I mean, he's done a Panisa well. He's done a phenomenal job. So I don't understand what people's issue is. Yes, we would like to see him get defensive end. Yes, we would like to see them have better attrition, you know, amongst players and durability. Yes, there's just some holes there. Hopefully he can close that gap, you know, but I think he's done a great job. And I just think people just want something to complain about. It's not going to be perfect. Not going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, they look at stuff that different than what we look at it. But hey, check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. It's a link in the description. Say find me everywhere. Hit it. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Peace.